Hey, welcome back, guys. How does it feel after a long time, Eddie, coming back and in front of the mic?
Well, it feels pretty good, I guess. We've been out for a little while for different personal reasons and so forth.
That's
A lot has happened. We've been watching this 100 days, last 100 plus days unfold, and some of the chaos and some of the, interesting things that are going on. It's definitely an interesting world. We'll have to see how it all turns out. Today we're going to talk about some of those subjects and see if we can give
definitely.
a difference of opinion on things.
Definitely. All right, Jake, what do you think after a
Has
long
it been
time?
100 days?
It's been more than that.
Yeah, I was thinking. It seemed like a little bit more than that. Yeah, it's there's a good side and bad side. The good side is that you don't have to spend hours researching every week about the things you're going to talk about. So that's kind of nice because then you can do something else, go fishing or something. The bad side is that you don't get to talk about the things you want to talk about because there's no Saturday or we don't ever get together for a podcast. So
and the good thing is, right now, news is moving so fast. That,
right. Like we can't even talk about what happened a month and a half ago because it's buried under
it's
like
gone.
5 layers of crap
Like,
that nobody cares about anymore.
Federal workers getting fired left and right.
We're not even talking about that anymore.
Yeah.
But that's in the background somewhere.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to start with Eddie. Eddie, I want to.
Hey, can I use this name? Darth Doge. Can I use that?
You can use that.
I just came up with that.
Okay.
I don't even know what's going on with that guy right
I think
now.
he's gone right now, too, right?
No, he was on the plane, dude. He was on the plane to Saudi Arabia.
Gotta make those deals.
Make those deals. Yeah.
Can I use that? Do you mind?
Yeah, you
Darth
can
Doge?
use that. That's fine.
That's your opinion.
Unless you get bashed on X in future.
Whatever.
I'm out on next.
I want to start talking about
Nor is anybody else.
the most recent information right now. The hot topic is Supreme Court blocks deportation under Alien Enemy Act. What is your take on that, Eddie?
Okay, so this is part of that dealing with what you call permanent residence, right?
Yes.
Permanent residence. Now, they've already gone through a process. They've been given their permanent residency and so forth. But because they spoke out against certain individuals, or let's say maybe a different race or whatever, they are now being, made an example of. Is probably a good idea of saying it, politically correct idea of saying it, I guess. And I think this is just a step in the wrong direction for me personally, that if we have already validated stuff, we shouldn't be able to just come back and say, well, because you don't agree with the agenda that we have or the idea that we have, that we're going to now label you as such and such and prosecute you for it and kick you out of the country and take away all your rights and so forth. We have a country that's built on free speech. We either have free speech or we don't have free speech. Mm-hmm. Right now, there's so many things going to take away free speech. You can't run on an agenda saying, I'm going to bring back free speech and then do the complete opposite. So, yeah, I might agree with some Republican ideas. I agree with some Democratic ideas. I don't agree with any of them completely. I agree with what is right and what is wrong in my personal opinion and based on my personal beliefs and so forth, and based on the data I have available to me. I see this as a slippery road in which we're going down, because if we start with permanent residents, then we go to naturalized residents, and then we go to actual citizens. This is just going to continue to de-escalate into a position that none of us really want, and we need to be careful to support something that might go this path. So we've also seen Trump made kind of like statements to kind of judge kind of the opinion. We also see Elon Musk making some statements to judge people's opinion. These statements are very risky statements, such as, well, if an American citizen does something wrong, maybe we should just go ahead and do something to them. Or what about if we find certain corruption, who defines the word corruption, since things are now based on how you define them rather than what has already been precedent before? Should we just get rid of some of the people in Congress or that don't agree with us? So, I mean, we're in a really crazy world right now. Things are really changing.
I have a secondary question, and I'll ask the same question. I'll play devil's advocate over here, and both of you guys have opinions about it. First, I want to ask Eddie, why is it a wrong thing for Americans to protect themselves against those people who came with the plan to gain citizenship through through basically bypassing the system or gaming the system?
Okay.
I understand that child who was born in the United States from the illegal or questionable status parents, did not do anything wrong. They did not make that decision. But do you think the parents who culminated all those process to get that thing should be prosecuted in a certain way?
Okay, first off, I want to just go ahead and verify the fact that you're changing the question here. You're changing the question from where we were talking about the permanent residents being attacked based on their protesting of certain things. Now you're talking about birthright.
No, it is attached. The whole thing is attached. That why are they attacking permanent citizen people? Because they're thinking that their status was taken with a deception, right? And the deception was that the birthright does not exist for these people because they're in the first place. The amendment does not apply to them. I mean, that's the whole
birthright doesn't exist for a permanent resident.
Yeah.
Birthright only exists for somebody born in America.
Yeah.
These are two totally different
Yeah.
concepts.
Yeah.
But I see their attempts to go towards birthright. Now they're talking about it was only meant for the black slaves and that were in slavery at that time. They have some decent. That's a decent point of view. We can kind of like objectively look at that and say, yeah, I can see that. But you have to go through a court process and prove that and have an agreement, a consensus that this is what we want.
May I jump in?
Hold on, I'm coming to you.
So I think that they're going about it the wrong way, in my personal opinion, because it's just going to cause some kind of animosity. And then who gets to pick who is a citizen, who is not a citizen, all these kind of things.
I got the answer.
Hold on.
Go long.
Okay, all right. You're dying to jump in. Okay, come on. Do you want me to repeat the question, or are you good?
I could speak the language.
Okay,
I know
sorry,
the
no
question.
problem. All right.
And Ed was right. You jumped from one issue to the birthright issue.
But you know why?
I understand why. No, you
Yeah.
made the connection. Okay?
Yeah, I made the connection. That's it.
And so let's just hit the birthright issue.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm gonna answer it with asking a question, and the person I'm gonna ask, because he's the only one here, is Ed.
Okay.
And it's a yes or no. It's not a gotcha.
Okay.
Why are you allowed to own a gun in this country?
That's not a yes or no question.
No.
It's a right. I will answer.
Oh no, I got it. Should you be allowed to own a gun in this country? Yes or no, or you can even expand if you want.
Yes.
Now, here's the second part of that. No, I'm not picking on you.
No, go ahead.
Okay, because I would ask this to anybody.
pick
You
on
just
it.
happen to be okay.
No, pick
Okay,
on
so
it.
the first question is, should you be able to? Now, the second question is, why? Why do you have that right?
Because it was indoctrinated. It was written into our laws and our bills.
Okay, so effectively what you're
founding of
saying,
our
right? And
country's
it's in
birthright.
the Second Amendment.
Yes.
Okay, and that's okay. It's written down there in 1776, and you have the right to own a handgun because right in there it talks about the people of this country to get out from under the yoke of blah blah blah, form a militia, blah blah blah. Now,
Had a purpose.
right, okay, had absolute purpose, and it was valid for the inception of this country. Now, right now, you could see somebody making an argument. You can't deny it, but you can say, "Oh, come on, guys! They're talking about we had single-shot pistols, and they needed to have militia to protect ourselves from the awful king on the other side of the fucking world." So yes, that all made sense. But guys, no one could have predicted we'd have 30-shot Uzis and we'd have large cities, and we don't need these types of, so you could see probably somebody on the way left, making an argument that amendment should be tweaked a little bit. Okay, no, you could see an argument, right? Whether it's valid or not, you could see that argument. But it fails because in order to change the Second Amendment, we need 66% of all states to approve it.
Mm-hmm.
It's never going to change because it's never going to happen. Okay, but people who want a gun are protected and are given that right because it's in the Constitution and it's our Second Amendment. Full stop. We're talking about, and the argument we want to talk about now is, can an immigrant come to this country and do let's say someone from Mexico and do the Mexican hat dance across the Rio Grande and plop down in the middle of the field, squat down and have a kid. Now that kid is an American citizen. Fuck that. Now, I would say to them,
Pretty graphic.
I would say to them, hey guys, let's break this down. The 16th Amendment, is it the 16th Amendment? Yeah, I'm looking.
I think it's the 14th.
14th, thank you. The 14th Amendment says anybody born on U.S. soil doesn't have to be contiguous. It can be in Puerto Rico. It can be anywhere you want. is an American citizen, regardless of their parents' immigration status. So, and you can't, and unlike guns, you can't say, well, we can tweak that a little bit because birth hasn't changed since the late 1700s. So, I would say to them, suck it, because that hasn't changed. All right? 16th Amendment or the 14th Amendment. What's different from the 14th Amendment to the Second Amendment?
Well,
Nothing.
Because 14th Amendment says something which is unique. The Second Amendment says that, but 14th Amendment says something which is questionable. Subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. The subject to the jurisdiction is for debate.
No, subject to
No, that's not for debate.
Subject to jurisdiction means they're under the laws of the government.
Yes.
You're basically under the laws of the government once you cross that border.
Yeah, and if you're born here, it doesn't matter the status of your parents, legal or illegal, you're an American citizen. So now all the people that want to put up the Second Amendment as their argument for owning a gun, regardless of how you could have an argument or you can tweak it because things have changed, the 14th Amendment is the same thing. So to argue that, so a person who stands up there with the Second Amendment and puts it in your face, and him to say those aren't American citizens because they were born from illegal immigrants, the height, that's like the height of hypocrisy.
So
you're using the Constitution for one thing, and then you're saying, nah, for that one we can bend the Constitution. But don't fuck with my gun rights.
So you're saying that you have.
I have a problem with that.
So you have two arguments over here. One argument is that first of all, it's not
up for debate.
It's not a
just like the Second Amendment is not.
Second thing is, if we mess around or we fuck around with it, then the Second Amendment will be attacked in future with some other lefty side.
Well, you can't attack. You have to have a congressional change in the Second Amendment or the 14th Amendment to screw around with it. But what I'm saying is that we can. It's nice stuff to put in the news because people get all riled up and like we're getting riled up here and when you hear these arguments,
You're getting riled up.
you're right. You know what it is? It's because I haven't had my coffee. So point being is that
I'm
you
not
know
gonna
why
give you coffee for
you know
future.
when these issues come up.
When?
Anytime they want to cover up something else. Let's say they want to cover up the issues going on in Gaza. They throw up a Second Amendment. They'll say, let's talk about gun control now, because people get all riled up and start talking about that, and they forget about what's going on in Gaza.
You're talking about Rivera?
Whatever. I'm saying that this is the only time you hear these issues when they say, hey, guys, we need to turn attention from what's going on over here. Okay, well, let's talk about the 14th Amendment and citizenship. Yeah, that gets them going, and that dominates the news cycle for a week and a half. Okay, we got a week and a half reprieve. Let's throw that out there. Who should we talk about? Let's talk about this guy that we were shipping off to El Salvador. Yeah. That's when you hear this stuff, because then people get all riled up like I am right now. And we forget about stuff that's going on with the $400 million plane. And we forget about stuff that's going on with human rights.
We're gonna come to that.
I'm just saying. I'm just explaining why this is in the news all of a sudden. It comes up, it pokes its head up. Like 3 years ago, it goes away. And then 5 years later, it pokes its head up and it goes away. It's used as a cover for other stuff.
Well, what are they? What are they covering? That's the question.
Well, let's put it this way. Okay, so
it's not really in the news right now, but we're bringing it up here. So, and all I'm saying with this, I'm sorry. See, I love to talk over Ed. I know he wants to punch me right now,
Not really.
but he's a good 6 feet away, so he's got to have really long arms. Is that I don't feel there is an argument between the Second Amendment and the 14th Amendment, because it's exactly the same thing. And so people who will throw the Second Amendment up or throw the 14th Amendment up and then say, you know what, we should change the Second Amendment. The hypocrisy is crazy.
Honestly, this is just like to get people riled up like this to
Yes.
see what they can get away with. Because
I can see
That's
it.
what I'm saying.
I can
Really,
see the practical. I can see it practically.
what can you get away with is basically, when a kid is like young and stuff, they test the limits.
Yeah.
This is just testing the limits.
Testing the limit. You're
You know,
right.
you got to realize that some of the stuff they do is just to see public opinion. It's a public opinion
Or
test,
to hide
experiment.
things or bury
That's it.
things that are
I agree
going
with
on.
that. I agree with that. I'll give you that. But
Thank
let's
you.
think this is an interpretation. They're trying the path of interpretation. They have a backup plan. You can look in the what is it called? Big, beautiful bill, whatever it's
Yes,
called.
big beautiful bill. Let's talk about
Look
that.
at the amount
Let's
of
talk about
money
that.
they're putting towards the border and
Yeah.
all the extremeness that they're putting towards the border. They're going to close it down. This is going to stop. You're not going to get into this country unless they let you into this country.
If you think a wall is going to be built, I
not a
have some
wall.
land.
No.
$46 billion.
When?
It's already in the bill.
The new bill, which is
It's
for
never
the
gonna get
wall.
passed.
It is. They almost passed it while they were all diverted by the thing going on in the Middle
Well,
East.
it's going to happen with reconciliation process. You don't need 60%, 60 senators for this.
We'll see.
Or you think you're skeptical because of?
I think that $46 billion putting for something that nobody wants, especially the farmers and the bordering towns.
Oh, that's what you don't understand. That's what you don't understand. You think that they're stopping immigrants from coming? They're not going to stop them. They're just going
Make
to
it difficult.
charge them.
Exactly.
They're going to attract them, charge them to be here, and they're going to charge the person that employs them.
Yeah.
They're just going to make more money out of it.
Yeah, I mean, if you can
And
build a
control
wall, like the farming industry needs workers. Bottom line, seasonal workers, and the people that come here and do the work, they want to work.
Would you ever go and work in a farm, Jake?
Are you crazy?
That's
No, but what I'm saying is that that economy is needed, and on both sides. Okay,
But it's not going to be built in few years. It
I-
takes time.
I don't know the timing of it, but what I'm saying is that I don't agree that we will ever see a 32-foot wall going across all 2,600 miles of our southern border. It's an impossibility through the terrain. Who are you going to get to do this in any reasonable amount of time? What construction company is going to sign up for this?
If it was me, I'd hire China because they could do everything. But,
But
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to
You got to
happen.
build this wall over Rocky Mountains. You got to
Oh, yeah. Easy to do that. They've done that easy.
through streams. How are you going to put a wall through a stream or through a river?
China can
China.
do it.
You just look at the crap that they do, man.
If they can build a road in the middle of the Saudi Arabian desert
That's it.
where you die if you're out there anytime between 10 in the morning and 4 in the
They can
afternoon.
do it. They can do it.
Bro,
it.
they can do it.
They can
They're
do it.
building 10-story buildings in 20 hours.
They can do
They're
it.
collapsing,
No,
but
no.
they're doing it.
No, it's not. Their machines and stuff that they have are so advanced compared to what we have. They can build just
During
about anything.
did you? I don't know if you saw this, but during COVID, they built hospitals with cubicles. They had these
Oh, yeah.
pre-made cubicles.
Oh, yeah.
They could put a hospital up in like a week, like a 200-room hospital. I was like, oh my god, that's amazing.
Okay,
Yeah.
while we were
Yeah.
talking,
Yeah.
while we were talking about subject of China, I wanna direct my question to Jake. Jake, you love China. I
China
know
was
that.
not on the menu today.
Tariff was something which I really wanted to sneak in. This
Well,
subject.
I have no.
I
input
get
on that.
it. I'm going to provide you that information. I need
Okay.
your opinion. 34% tariff on our beautiful friend China.
What happened to 125?
30.
Well, 30,
They backed
34.
off?
34.
Oh, yeah,
right
that's
now
right,
it's
they
34%. So 34, let's say 30%, whatever. Good idea?
Yes. Okay. Now, can I give it instead of I don't want to say
Switcheroo.
No. 125. No.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now, if you're an American company trying to open a business and do business in China, you are fucked because they're not going to allow it because most companies are owned by the state.
Yes.
Yes.
Like, it's a communist country.
Yeah.
And if you do somehow, they are going to steal your intellectual property and you're going to go out of business in some period of time or they're going to kick you the hell out. So we allow Chinese companies to set up business here and operate under the laws that any other
Because we
corporation in
like
this country.
cheap stuff.
A lot of Chinese companies
Price-wise.
are shipping shit out. They're setting up business here and they're shipping stuff out to different countries. Okay?
Really?
Yeah. Or they make it here and they sell it here. But the majority of, you know what? Don't take my word on that. I'm just saying, all I'm trying to, I'm answering your question. I'm saying, is it fair that China doesn't allow American companies to come in there and do business and sell to their population where we allow Chinese companies to come in here, open up shop, and sell to our population? Is that fair? No, it's not. So should there be some tariff, some thought-through tariff to penalize China for doing that? And I'm thinking, yes, we should incentivize them that, hey, or we should just say, you know, if you're not going to allow our companies in your country, we're not going to allow yours in this country. We can import as much Chinese shit as we want, but you can't have a company setting up shop in the U.S. because you don't, or you make it very, very difficult to do so in your country. So should there be a price to be paid for them doing that on their side of the border? And I say absolutely yes. 125%, no, because that ends up just hurting the consumer here. Something higher than that,
So 30 is 30
30
fine.
sounds right. I would
30
have
sounds
gone a
right.
little higher, but
Okay.
fine.
Oh wow, that's a very big shift from.
But it also depends on what market mix you're putting the tariffs on. Are you
Okay.
putting it on cotton swabs, which people buy every day? No, you're putting the tariffs on some high-end thing, like on some $3,000 TV set or something. So if you're putting the tariffs on the right marketing mix, fine. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, Eddie, what do you think? What is your take on tariff? 30% or 34% on China?
I think tariff is an idea to sell an idea that is not very plausible for most people to accept. First off is America cannot sell its debt. We know that. We see that The rates now have already passed 4.5.
1 trillion.
Well,
is the
we have to
interest rate.
finance about 10 trillion this year,
Yeah.
and our rates for financing now is about 4.5 or above.
Yeah.
The last one was 4.8. So, and we have to sell that to people within America, which already know that, hey, we're broke, we're not really making anything, and so forth. So, what's the best way to do this? Do you tell the people that we're going to increase your taxes? No, you're going to tell them we're going to decrease your taxes, but we're going to go ahead and do like a sales tax, basically. This is a sales tax.
This is a sales tax.
Let's be honest. This
let's-
is just another
yeah,
sales tax
yeah.
using the thing that China's the bad guy. We're going to tax them, not you. But the truth is the importers are going to pay this, and we're going to pay a portion of it. So we're going to make the businesses, the small businesses that are struggling, pay for it. That's okay, because then that means the big businesses come in and buy the small businesses, and hey, they get bigger and more profitable.
So
And-
monopoly.
Yeah, it's going to be a monopoly.
Yeah.
We already lost half of our businesses in COVID. We got some of it back, but we're going to lose more in this process too with these tariffs. And that's just going to mean that the rich people are going to go ahead and get asset stripping happening. They're going to get the good things that they want. They're going to get more control of the market, and that's going to happen there. We as the people, we're not going to see a lot of benefit as this, but they are putting some things in the taxes that he did promise. So we'll be happy with that because we'll see that as that, and we'll believe the narrative that, hey, we're taxing China because they're doing something wrong. The truth is, it doesn't matter what your tariff is on China. China will just send it to somebody else. They'll relabel it and send it to us anyways. We're still going to buy it. We're just going to pay more for it, no matter what.
So I didn't catch the first part. When the question of whether you agree or disagree with taxes.
I totally don't agree.
You do not agree.
No.
And I heard you say that the country is in debt or is broke.
It's broke.
And because we don't have any manufacturing.
We don't have manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
We can't do manufacturing. The only way we can do manufacturing in this country is if we use robots because our labor costs too much. We cannot be competitive.
Okay, so one thing.
We
So-
have no competitive advantage.
Okay, so it sounds like what you're saying is that we need our manufacturing has all going over has been shipped overseas to countries that can better produce them because of their labor cost and their raw materials, because those countries are more suited to manufacture those at a lower cost to ship back to us than we could do it here, correct?
No, what it is, okay, we have to understand the systems, okay? China has a nationalistic system. They have complete control. They can pull all their wealth and subsidize all their industry.
Right. I don't want to get into that.
We can't do that.
Right. So the reason why more manufacturers have companies, let's say John Deere and all the other American manufacturers have shipped overseas is because they can produce their product cheaper over there. One is the cost of labor. Two, maybe because the government subsidizes it. And three, maybe is the raw material that goes into the ore or whatever that goes into their products is cheaper over there. So now they can make their products cheaper over there than they can make them here and ship them here. And so manufacturers said, then why are we making them here? Okay, because we can make it cheaper there, sell it in the U.S. Before we were making it in the U.S. and selling it in the U.S. So if we go over there, we can make it cheaper, sell it for the same cost, and we make that margin. You're
Yes.
absolutely right. That's true. Now, how do you and because manufacturing jobs have been shipped overseas, we have a lot more unemployment. Well, people that have of lesser education or lesser skills, those jobs that were open for them are no longer open for them. That goes over, ships over. So how do we bring back manufacturing, get those jobs back, and develop our manufacturing base, which we lost, which is important? Well, and you don't agree with tariffs. Well, I tell you, my friend, the only way to do that is tariffs. Hang on, here's the thought process. You have companies shipping stuff over here that our manufacturing base cannot make for the same cost because the inputs into that manufacturing are more expensive. So they go overseas. And we've seen that happen since NAFTA for the last 20 years. Well, now, and if we put up tariffs onto those products that are coming in here, those, let's say we'll call them wheelbarrows. Well, the company that made wheelbarrows here will say, hey, wait a second. I can come back to the United States. I can pay those rates of those people, the Americans that are working in these manufacturing companies, and I can sell it at the same price because now there's a tariff on the import of foreign wheelbarrows. So now it's apples to apples. So let's bring all that stuff back because now, and maybe I'll even get a tax break over here because I have that manufacturing plant here as opposed to Singapore because tariffs had made it equal. Now it's apples to apples. So what I argue with you is that if your argument is that we have no manufacturing base and that and that tariffs play no role, and you don't agree with it, but you think that we are losing money and we're failing as a state because we don't have any manufacturing, I would say to you that the only way to bring it back is the tariffs. The very thing you're arguing against is with what fixed the problem here with respect to our manufacturing. I just don't think you've thought that through.
No, I think that you are thinking about it in a short-term kind of idea.
Yeah.
But the idea here is basically, come on, it has a good premise. It has an idea, but we don't produce anything.
It's not a premise. It's called economics.
Okay. Yeah. Anyways, it has the idea that it has some truth to it if it can be implemented properly and you had the time to do it. All right. But to be effective in this country, you need about 4, maybe 5 to 1 of the population in robots. That's the only way you're going to bring down the cost of economy, the cost of production, the scales of production and economy to a point where you make a profit and can compete with competitive advantage against other countries that have a lower labor force. So this is going to take time. You have AI as the new race. Everyone is racing towards AI, to our own thing. You look at the new bill, that big bill, everything
has
is
a lot
about
of
taking
AI.
resources, going towards energy, water. Why? AI requires a lot of these. It's about exploiting all of our things, selling off a lot of our land, making sure we do a lot of drilling, make sure we do everything to pull these things towards AI, because that's our last hope right now. America has nothing else to sell the world. China has beat us on almost everything else. We have, people want to say, oh yeah, we have Google, we have this, we have that. Look at WeChat. WeChat is destroying all of our fintech, or fintech, whatever you want to call it, financial textual kind of things.
WeChat is one everything.
China is an innovator.
Like banking,
They are-
purchase, everything.
You got to understand the two concepts here. We have a concept that is about giving returns to our investors. That's our concept. That means that the bottom line means everything to the CEO, who gets a benefit package based on that. And it means everything to the investor. That's the system, the slave that we're emboldened ourselves to. All right? So it helps those people that are invested in the stock market, helps those people invest in those companies, but they only invest if they see it's going to be beneficial. They're still thinking, well, this president's only here for 4 years. It's going to take me 10 years to go ahead and build this thing. It could change. Why do I need to invest? Why are they investing? Because we do have a few things that they want. We are a leader in AI, so that's where most of the investments are coming. We are a leader in chips for now. All of our semiconductors, right? Our NVIDIA and all those, right? We have that. We have that lead. That's our advantage. Our competitive advantage is we have some technologies that China is not beating us in right now.
But the material, Eddie, material of that rare earth and all those things.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Supply is the problem.
Why do we keep on hearing rare earth minerals and only hear about production?
Yeah.
There's two components to the rare earth minerals, right? There's production and the
exploration.
most important thing, no, not exploration,
Then?
refinement.
Refinement, yes.
What's the good of having a product that you can't use?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a ton of this, but I can't use it. The only one that refines most of this stuff is China.
Yeah.
Why?
95%.
Why? Because
Toxicity?
it's so pollutant.
Yeah.
What is holding America back at this point, and why are they attacking the EPA? Is because if they don't, we can't even use the stuff that we need to go forward. So why are they going against all these climate change things? Why are they going against the EPA? Because they are losing in this battle, because China doesn't care about that. They care about their bottom line, which is profit making and advancing their technology. They're going to go ahead and offset that by
They're in
all
dominance.
of
In
the-
dominance.
Yeah.
They care about dominance.
We have focused on military dominance. They have focused on economic dominance. Who's winning?
Why do you guys look at me?
Oh, well,
Like, I have
you
the
have a
answer to
difference
that?
of opinion. What
Because
do you think?
No, because it's like I'm not going to voice my opinion because it's like 2 against 1 here.
No, hold on. I have a question about your support.
Put it be yes or no.
if you're saying tariff is a good idea,
I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm saying
it is
an idea.
It's still an effective tool.
It is an
Yeah,
effective tool.
I'm not
Okay.
saying that it's not.
Now we put tariff on China, and first thing that it is, first of all, they're going to put tariff back, and second thing is they are restricting or banning
Rare earth minerals.
rare earth minerals export completely because they know that's
But
what
they're not the only place to get it from.
that's the only
Yes,
place to
pretty
get
much they
refinement.
are.
That's the only place.
Oh, refinement of it.
Yes.
Refinement
Oh,
of it.
okay. Because we get it from the Ukraine, we get it from other so the actual
Well,
raw
we
Then we
material.
ship it to them. They refine it.
Yes.
We take the product that we can use.
Okay.
Like Canada does not refine its own petroleum or crude oil. They have to send it to us to refine and
So why do you think that they want Greenland? The one is rare earth minerals.
Why? What's the question again? Why do you
Greenland? Say something like Greenland. Let's
Oh,
say,
yeah,
that's why rare earth minerals.
got a lot of snow.
It's no. Well, it's cooled off a little bit, or it's kind of warmed up a little bit. We'll say so. It's easier to get the rare earth minerals, but maybe you could also just
Put
a refinement there.
Yeah, it's a
away from
naturally
the majority of populations. No one's really going to complain. You can displace those people if they do.
no, and it's naturally
above.
Clean,
And it's close, relatively.
and it's naturally clean. Like you don't need a lot of energy to cool it down. Like
Yeah.
over here.
So you can get it's a good thing for that if that's it. That's just a theory.
By the way, a lot of Bitcoin.
Is that being voiced? You just come up with that, or is that actually out in the news
No,
somewhere?
no. It is discussed. Like a lot of Bitcoin.
We do listen to different stuff. I've never heard that.
A lot of Bitcoin miners requires a lot of energy and it creates a lot of heat. Are located in Greenland because it's naturally cold environment. You don't need cooling.
You're talking actually
mechanism.
the equipment heats up.
Yes, it creates a lot of heat. A lot of heat.
You also got to think about quantum computers.
Yeah.
Quantum computers require you to be very, very cold in order for them to work, so that air friction and all these things don't happen. So there's a lot of things that require certain things, either high demand of energy or certain placement within the geography in order to get the best benefit out of it.
Because if it goes if it goes above the threshold of heat, it will start melting. So you need to keep it at a certain level. And if it's a cold environment, you just put that computer over there. Guess what? Naturally, it's getting cold. All right, I'm going to move on from this. Now, the second topic we have to divide it in certain level, and I will start with Jake. I want to start the presidential second presidency, first trip, same country, Saudi Arabia. Let's not start with the whole Middle East. Let's start with one country at a time. How did you look at it? Did you see this was a good move? And Saudis, I saw Trump and MBS as like a bromance almost. So what is your take, Jake? When you see he's making deals, there's a good trip, before we jump into the more controversial stuff which you already mentioned, but
Okay, so when I think of a president going overseas,
first trip.
well, it doesn't matter. Why do presidents leave this country, get on Air Force One, fuck off to a whole different part of the world?
International relationship.
Yes, they're promoting, let's say, regional peace. They get into human rights. They're doing something for.
Well, we're doing it for pure business.
Well, hold on. Do you want to answer the question? Because
No,
you can just
I-
answer your own question if
No,
you
you
want.
just said
Just let
humanitarian.
him talk, man.
I'm
Let him
saying,
talk.
when I think about why would a president, now we have to remember that we have presidents, we have quasi-democracies, we have people like MBS. Am I saying that MBS correctly?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Leaders are chosen in different ways. Or you have monarchies. But what I'm saying is that why would a U.S. president, what is the purpose for a U.S. president to get on a plane and go somewhere else and do anything somewhere else, to meet foreign leaders? Well, because you want to, at least I thought it would be to promote peace in the region, peace between our two countries, human rights, maybe dropping tariffs or dropping, what do you call that? What's the other thing from tariffs? Whatever. Doing things that help the people. Sanctions. Thank you. That help the people of those countries. That's what kind of how we're doing this. But that's not what this was, right? This was, and another point of this, where they didn't go?
No, hold on. Don't mention it. I'm going to come
all right.
to that.
All right, so anyways, so the idea, and then maybe as a backdrop to all that, you throw in some business. This seemed to be flipped around. There was very little talk about things going on in the region, humanitarian region, what's going on in the Gaza, dropping sanctions against
Syria.
Syria. Maybe it was mentioned, but what was more important was the business aspect. And how you know that? Who was on the goddamn plane? Who was on that Air Force One going over there?
All the billionaires and
Everyone. Darth Doge was on it. The CEOs of Coca-Cola, CEO of I'm trying to remember all these names. Like I wrote them down.
Sam Altman, the AI,
Yeah.
that CEO.
Yeah. Okay.
But there were several. Yes.
Yeah. Musk was on there. CEO of AI companies, Palantir.
Yes.
Okay, again, and then also
Surveillance.
the chip maker Nvidia.
No, Nvidia.
Nvidia. Okay, however you pronounce it. As well as Coca-Cola, Boeing, and also the guys the CEO of Blackstone and another company called BlackRock. Are these paramilitary guys?
No, these are
Oh.
private capital, bro.
We gotta
Private capital.
We gotta watch out when we talk about them.
Well, I'm not talking about. I'm saying they're on the plane. So what I'm saying, and so when they got there, what came out of that was a $142 million arms deal. Okay,
Yeah.
and then in the next 5 years, Saudi Arabia pledged to pump $600 million into the
Billion.
yeah, million wouldn't really matter.
Billion
Into the
chip
U.S.
change.
economy.
Big difference.
There was a $20 million agreement. $20 billion. I'm talking billions. If I keep saying millions, I'm talking billions. I'm making a mistake. There's a $20 billion agreement for AI development here. I mean, the list goes on and on. So this was a business deal. What you said, it was right. Now, is that wrong? I don't know if it's wrong, but I've always thought that.
I don't think it's wrong. Why is it wrong?
I didn't say it was wrong. I said I don't know if it's wrong. I'm saying I would have thought that they should have led. And you know what took precedence over all this? What captured the news cycle? The $400 million plane.
Hold on, we gotta see now. You
No, I don't talk about it. I'm just saying you asked me a question about whether I felt what was going on with this business trip to the Middle East. The first foreign trip by a U.S. president in his second administration, and I'm answering. I'm saying that I think the roles were reversed. I think they should have been what should have led the business cycle, and the news is at all the things that a leader does going over there is the peace in the Gaza, all that other kind of shit, and then maybe as a backdrop to it, the deals. But this has flipped around, and now there's also in the deal is a $400 million plane. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying something seems a little flip-flopped about this.
Okay, so do you give how many marks out of 10 do you give him just his trip to Saudi Arabia, where he was focused on basically making relationship better with the MBS, almost a bromance, because he said, I like you way too much on the stage. Second thing is, he was imposing or trying to sell the Abraham Accord, which is what you were mentioning, the country.
You notice all the questions you're asking me. I'm going to ask you this: of all the questions you're asking me, which question hits on the point of what has he done to better the lives of the people that are living in these countries?
None.
Zero.
What does he have to?
Why does
I'm saying
my question is, what does he have to? They have more wealth. They have no debt. They have all the modern advances of everyone else. Why do you think he had to sit there and basically out the fact that your idea is to go and tell them what to do? That has not worked. That's why he had to say the neocons' idea of, oh, we know better than you. Our ideas are better than yours.
I'm not even talking about
we know
that.
how to run
You're going
everything.
off in a left-handed direction. I'm saying to you, if I was the president of the United States, my first stop would have been in Israel. Now, I'm not.
What about Canada?
Maybe that's why you're not the president right now.
Well, I should be. I'm saying, in Canada is not international. Is not on the other side of the globe. Okay, so it's not part
No,
of.
you said first international trip.
A trip to. Okay, so anyways, first Middle
Anyways,
Eastern
to go
trip.
back to it, you should be the president, but if you look at the actual polls right now,
I don't
you
think
wouldn't
I'm-
be a
no.
favorable president because most people don't agree with your stance.
All
right
right,
now.
I'll go. Hold
So-
on.
so I would say-
I know what was going on,
Okay,
but
so if I'm okay, let's say it's purely for optics. Okay.
Okay.
If I am the president, the first stop I
That's a
make
bad optics.
is Israel. Why? Because I want to talk to them about the continued escalation of what's going on in Gaza and the people getting killed. And
that's
blah-
not good for business, man.
Hold on, stop. Okay, so even if I think that that's not good for business, and it's not what I really want to talk about, and it doesn't help our economy, for optics, that's what a leader. I'm saying maybe that's what you should be putting up first. Okay, your commitment to stopping, and you said, and you were pro this before we took a break. So my point is that's what I would lead with.
Hold on.
What do you mean I'm pro
so
what?
hold on.
I'm pro what exactly?
Stopping the violence in the Middle East.
Oh,
with
it's
respect to Gaza.
gonna stop anyways because you just stop the money. The
There
violence
you go.
stops.
Okay.
And you change the regime, and then you're good.
All right, for optics, that's what I've done first. Even though I want to get to the
Hold on.
nitty gritty, which is
Hold on.
hang on, no, you hold on. You're asking me the question, and you're not on camera, by the way.
I have a secondary question about that. I'm asking. He did not stop, even for an hour or for a minute.
He snubbed
in
him,
Israel.
Netanyahu.
So
And we all know
why do you think it happened in this trip? What is your take on that?
I would think that you could have put. Do you know the answer to this? And you're just asking me to voice it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, he snubbed Netanyahu because Netanyahu didn't give him his kill. He wanted.
Exactly.
Okay, so he said to Netanyahu, "Okay, this is what I'm imagining." He said, "Hey, okay, I just got elected. It's gonna be my first quarter of my presidency. I need to make a big fucking splash.
Yeah.
I need headlines. I'm gonna start on my side of the aisle with the federal government. That's gonna people love when federal employees get fired. I'm gonna start there, but you need to give me the international splash. I need you to say, and I want to lead the charge, meaning that I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna say." I'm the peacekeeper. I need you guys to come up with a peace deal, and Trump spearheaded it. Get that done, not Bibi. And Bibi said, "Go fuck yourself, man." Hold on, listen to me, and you can jump in, okay? Okay, I'll let you.
Finally.
Okay, and Bibi said,
I'm coming.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to expand this war. Okay, now I'll slow down a little bit, and we'll exchange some prisoners. But go fuck yourself. I'm going to expand this. Now he didn't say it to his face. Under the lines, he's saying, yes,
actions.
yes, President, I'll do what you're saying. But he didn't give him his win. Nothing has happened with respect to a peace deal between Gaza
That's true.
and Israel in his first quarter. And Trump wanted to splash. He wanted to be the peacekeeper, and that didn't happen. So what he did say, Trump said, is that I'm not going to the Middle East until I see some. I wrote it down here. I'm not going there until I see some progress, and he snubbed him. So that's exactly why, because he's pissed off he didn't get his shit. And that's why he's not going
you
there.
think it was a good move or bad move from the American?
Trump is a man baby. If he doesn't get what he wants, he's gonna make you suffer. And if you don't go to the Middle East, and if you go to the Middle East and you don't see Israel first, it's a snub. Same thing. Obama did that in 2009.
Yeah.
He snubbed Netanyahu.
Yeah.
And it was thought as a huge slap in the face. And that's exactly what Trump did now.
Okay, all right. I'm going to switch side to Eddie. Eddie, same question, but
Which question exactly?
I'm going to ask.
That was a pretty big tangent.
The first trip,
Okay.
first ever trip for the second term, Saudi Arabia. No stopping on Israel. Now let's not go in all Middle East. Just stick with Saudi Arab trip. What are the takes and no Israel?
Can I say one more thing before you answer?
No. No, you talked enough. All right. So with Saudi Arabia, you got to look at this. This is a big change in the administration's the past progress that we've been through. We have tried this long, endless war kind of campaign that has made us go ahead and go into countries, destroy those countries, overthrow governments, destroy their infrastructure, rebuild it for the profit that we get it, extract some of the resources from that country, and then control how they spend their money and where those resources go in the future. It's made a lot of money for our banks, who get to rebuild everything, and also fund the whole war effort. Plus, it makes a lot of money for our military-industrial complex, which we have to, at this point, realize that these are two big influences on what American does stuff. All right. So now we see a departure from that kind of thing. So we have to think and step back and say, okay, is this really in a good interest for America that we're not going to be in any more wars, send our kids to go and die? I was in Iraq. All right. I went with the idea that I was doing something great for my country. It's better for me to go fight over there than they come here and kill my kids. You know, it was personal for me. I joined up. I was doing well. I was in the civilian life. I took a pay cut, massive pay cut, more than half of what I was making, to go back in the military and fight for Iraq. I went there. It was an eye opener. The things I saw, the things that I was told to do. It totally changed my whole perspective on things and made me go back to trying to find information and not follow narratives anymore. I don't believe in either side. I don't just take my information from what people tell me. I do a lot more research and look into things. Unfortunately, a lot of people in America don't. They side with one end and they follow those things, and we've seen that it's getting further and further in extremes.
And they bring emotions in this.
Right. And it's okay, because based on your information, your experiences and so forth, this dictates what you think about things. And America has been able to push those narratives in a way that a lot of people believe them. Now we see that the narrative has changed. And the narrative is now we've promoted that the Muslims are doing all this. The Muslims are the problem. Has nothing to do with the fact that we go in and cause all these problems in their country, piss a bunch of people off, kill them, and then those people are upset about that they have a problem with us. No, that's not the problem. People believe that. Now it's kind of like, we got to change this narrative because we actually have benefit from this. And people are complaining, they're buying $142 billion worth of goods or weapons. Okay, what's better? All right, what's better? You spend that much money from our money to go and fight someone else, waste that money, like $1 billion in a month, on Yemen. What did we get from it? We lost 7 Reapers in a month or 2, which is $30 million each. So $210 million lost, blown out of the sky. We lost 2 to 3. It's not even confirmed which is 2 or 3 F-18s. They fell into the ocean. Do you believe it, or were they shot down? What's the better narrative?
What, has
they
anybody
fell into
heard?
the ocean, or they got shot down?
Have you heard why they actually? I haven't heard anything on that. Why are they falling into the ocean?
We're gonna come to.
Let's not even go there. Let's just.
Yeah.
let's
But
just
when
put
you're done, will you tell us if you've heard it? Because I haven't heard
Well,
it.
They
Hold
said
on.
because of the turns that they were making, it slipped off into the ocean.
Okay, that's bullshit.
One other thing, they said that there was a problem with the plane,
Mm-hmm.
meaning it probably got hit, and then it went off the other end. It didn't catch, so it fell off the whole aircraft carrier
Okay,
into
so
the
finish
ocean.
yours. I thought.
But anyways, there's statements of 2 or 3 of these $60 million planes being lost, and there's a couple of missions that
But we're getting a $142 billion investment. $60 million is a drop in the bucket.
exactly. But my thing is what is better? Do we need to pay for it out of our American tax dollars? Or is it better for the industrial complex, military industrial complex, to get their money from someone else to pay the bill for us? That sounds like a win for America for me.
Yeah, somebody
I'm
else.
okay with that as long as it brings me peace and my kids don't have to go fight and die for something that I don't believe in anyways and causing problems and killing people somewhere else. We killed over 500,000 plus people in Iraq.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't support anything of killing people anywhere. I've been to a war zone. I see the damage it does, the inflicting things, not just on the people that are there, but the people that go there to fight these dumb wars. All right.
Okay,
And I also see the people at the administration, like Halliburton, how much money they made off Iraq is insane.
Okay, so I have a theory. Now you've actually been in country.
Can I
I'll-
finish what I'm talking?
Oh, I thought you were done. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He's not done.
Because you went insane and you put your head down, and that usually means I'm done talking. Go ahead, finish.
Okay. All right. So, anyways, so we see that they made deals, and they made deals about investment. Let me ask you this: if you want to stop somebody from causing problems, is it better to isolate them from you, or have them have an invested interest in participating with you?
Vested interests.
Right? They have
Yeah.
something to lose
Of
now.
course.
If they're isolated from you,
The
They
art
have
of-
nothing to lose.
they
The
have
art of war.
They're already screwed.
The art of war.
It's kind of like what you
Keep
hear
your
this-
enemies closer.
There's a concept going out that they're promoting a lot, right?
Samsu.
Why we have so many problems in the place that you're talking about, Israel. All right. The concept there is they have promoted in their local land that it doesn't matter what we do. Everyone hates us anyways. We can do whatever it is because it doesn't matter if we do the good thing or the bad thing. They all hate us. And they got this problem has led to them having 2 of the most radical people in their government. So Netanyahu can't do anything by himself. You're blaming him for himself. But 1, yeah, he doesn't want to get out of power because then he's going to go to jail. And 2 is he can't do it anyways because 2 of his administration won't let him. So he's screwed. And he's not going to give Trump what he wants because he can't. So it's not there. The only way this works is that regime is gone. And then we can start putting something together in a reasonable, logical way. No American, I don't understand how you can participate in the idea that killing kids and innocent people, starving them, taking their water, and everything else. You can't do that in America in any form, shape, or thing without everyone in here saying, hell no, not in my land. But it's okay if you're disassociated. I've been to a war. I know how disassociation works. You know, I understand that they have to promote this disassociation or this, you know, making you understand, see things in a different light, that this is not a human being or this is a disgusting human being or whatever to make this work for human nature, okay? Anyways, my big overall point to cover your thing there and to cover his question is this is a good thing in my opinion because now we have an invested interest to do good things together rather than bad things against each other.
You're talking about all the investment.
Yeah, we are now invested. Now, it's still up in the air because it's just a proposed
MOU.
investment.
It's
no
just
money has changed
yeah,
hands.
It's an agreement yet.
Yeah.
It's not.
But let's hope for the best because this is the best outcome. No
Okay.
war with Iran, no war with anybody in the Middle East anymore. Let's work together to promote a prosperous and peaceful environment.
Mutual benefit agreement. Now, one question attached to that with Eddie. Before he arrived to Middle East or Saudi Arabia, there was a Oman negotiated deal between Houthis and U.S., which stopped, missile firing from Houthis towards U.S. ships, and any attack from U.S. Any type of military towards Houthis. But they did not agree on attacking or stopping the attack on Israeli or ships. What is your take on that? How do you take it? And Jake, I will come to you afterwards.
I have no opinion on that.
Okay.
Okay, so my opinion on that is, why do you need to back a government that doesn't listen to you anyways? Why are you supporting a government that's going to do whatever they want no matter what you tell them anyways? Why? So, and also you have to think about the benefit. You're spending $1 billion a month for what? This is not you're losing equipment.
To keep a tug over there.
Not just losing equipment, but you can't replace it. We've sent a lot of this equipment and weapons and armaments to Ukraine for years now. Now we're doing it, and we've been doing it to Israel as well. So we're sending a lot of ammunition and equipment. It's very expensive at that point.
Hey, why do you say that as a negative thing? I've never understood that. Yeah.
Because you are spending our money to fund something else that has nothing to do with us. Why are we killing people in someone else's land? That's like if someone comes into your house and kicks you out of your house, beats you up, and does whatever they want. You don't expect somebody, you're okay with that? You're okay with that? No, you're not going to be okay with that. You're going to fight back. You're going to have problems. You're going to hate those people if they take you out of your land. It's just like we did this in the Native Americans. So maybe because we keep the land, it's like that. So I think that's the process that they wanted to go ahead and take certain things so they can control it, and then they figured it's going to be okay over time. But that didn't work out so well. The rest of the world is pretty much against it.
I've always thought, let's say, all these little skirmishes that we get involved in, and I don't agree with them, but us sending military aid, not men, although there are Americans in there doing stuff, but mostly weaponry to Ukraine, sending 2 warships, expending how many, what do you call them, Vipers? What are the things that get shot down? Drones, or what do they get?
Reapers.
There's Reapers, killing a whole bunch of those people. They're all exercises
To test our...
our
they are
equipment.
Proof of concept.
There you go, proof of concept.
Yeah.
Now we go and we shoot off how many Reapers at $30 million a pop, and we lose 2 ships, 2 planes due to something. Hopefully, the pilot survived, and we do all that. We're testing our military. We don't in the realm of testing the people, the equipment, the avionics, everything that we got going. We need to test that. Okay. Do I agree with it? No. I mean, you do. Usually, you do operations out over the shores close to our country. Okay. I always look at that as a way for the military complex thinking, yeah, we don't really mind that we're using up this for $30 million a pop. The American people, through their tax dollars, are paying for it. Mm-hmm. This gives us a way to test the new stuff. Now, it sounds crazy. It sounds like I can't. How do you? It sounds like I'm not very. What's the word? I can't think of the word.
I'll go with the one. You already crazy.
Yeah, it sounds no, but it's. I disagree with this. There's no reason for us to be over there. Okay, why don't the Israelis? Why don't any of the bordering countries police their own strait and protect their own ships? Why do we need to send 2 aircraft carriers over there to be the policemen, the watchmen to the world? I don't agree with it. And I always thought that all these exercises, we do it, we offer it because we need to test our equipment, and that's the bottom line.
No, it goes down to the idea of dominance. You hear a common thing: military dominance, supremacy. These kind of ideas is we have the most dominant military in the world. Is the premise that we have painted. Well, that's quickly vanishing and being proved to not be the truth. And unfortunately, a lot of people still believe it is true within America, but not so much outside. And that's being proven over and over again that that's not the case. And we also see a very big shift. Yes, America has the most expensive military. This is indeed the most true. But the problem is attrition. America cannot keep up with attrition. We cannot produce the amount of weaponry, ammunition, and everything else that's required at these costs to supply what they want to do with them. This is why we've backing off. This is why we need to stop what we're doing at this point, because the American public cannot fund the constant printing of money in order to fund these military campaigns anymore. Our purchasing power is gone. We can't purchase anything. If you look at the purchasing power of America, it has been dropping significantly from at least the last 3 years. if you go look at the numbers, you'll see that our purchasing power is not our purchasing power, but our actual purchases. You're only got the top 10% of the doing most of the purchasing in America right now. The other 90% is not able to purchase a lot of stuff. They're having a hard time getting basic needs met. They can't afford the costs that are in housing and all these other big ticket items that they can't avoid, so they can't purchase anything else. All right. This is also why we have to realize that China doesn't need us as much as we need them. Yes, 40% of what we purchase comes from China. Only 12% comes from somewhere else, from us to them. They can go find that 12% in the rest of the world pretty easy, and they have been doing that. So they're okay. They can cut off from us. We cannot cut off from them because we can't get that 40% from everyone else. We will, because all it'll be is just like they subvert sanctions. They'll subvert it coming directly from China. They'll send it to Mexico. They'll send it to Vietnam like they have been doing. When they would decrease, they just increased the production to Vietnam. Vietnam sold it to us for a higher price. In the end, America will be paying more no matter what, the American person. And we can't afford it. Most people cannot afford that. They're already tapped out. Their credit is tapped out. This is a debt-based system. And at some point, you can't get any more debt. Everything stops. So that's the problem.
So what you are saying is the negotiation of stopping the exchange of firepower between Houthis and America is beneficial for Americans and American economy and people, but it could be devastating for Israelis.
I don't think that we're going to just let Israel die completely. We have a lot of influence in America that's against that. We have the evangelistic people.
What about the establishment within the United States?
They don't care. They don't care. You're a tool. Just be honest.
Okay.
They started a lot of the Islamic centers that they called ISIS, Al Qaeda. They made these to fight Russia.
Funded those things. Yes.
When that didn't serve their purpose anymore, they got rid of them. They made them the enemy, and they got rid of them.
We supported Taliban, and
yes, we supported every one of these ones. We supported Saddam until Saddam decided to fight Iran, and we overthrew Iran and put someone in place until we lost that. We always take over something, we control it. If we lose it, it becomes our enemy because they don't feel our interests as American, the people that run America.
So you see now what the buildup we did in the country of Israel is coming to the end of our
what I see
support?
What I see for Israel is this: they have to change that regime change because the ideology has gone to the point that whatever we do, it doesn't matter. So there's no accountability. There's no empathy. They have no empathy. How is a race that's went through the Holocaust doing something even worse than the Holocaust?
Well, they were playing victim for all this time, and the rules.
Well, this is also a problem. If you enable somebody to play victim, they will go ahead and push that to the limits.
Yeah, it has crossed the limit. Now the
and we see
victimization
these
has
ridiculous laws of anti-Semitism. I have no. Let me just say this real clear. There's a difference between Israel and Jew. I have nothing wrong with the Jews.
Yes.
And additionally, there are plenty of people in Israel. You can see on the news, in their news, Channel 14, you see what their officials actually say. Listen to Haaretz and some of the Israel news and so forth. You will see they are cracking down on their own citizens that don't want this war. They are suppressing their voices. They are cracking down on them. They are even killing some of them to stop them from talking out about this war. There's a lot of problem within the whole country, all right. But the thing is, you're promoting hate in this country by these ridiculous, rules that protect a certain class or a certain person or a certain race or whatever you want to call it, that go against everyone else's rights. How do you oppress one person's rights for another person's rights? This is never going to turn out well. This is going to cause backlash, and I think that's the whole point. How do you transition from a ideology that you had for so long, 60-something years, started with Lyndon Johnson, that we've been supporting this cause, this organization within the Middle East since Lyndon Johnson. After they got rid of Kennedy, suddenly we were very big supporters of Israel and have been since. All right. And they've worked for our advantage because that allowed us to do all these wars in the Middle East that made so much money for the military-industrial complex and the banking system. You can believe it or whatever. You can look into it, whatever. This is just what you do if you do your research and look into some of these things. You start with Lyndon Johnson. You look at how they've gone. You look at like U.S. Liberty. The thing is in there, whether it's true or not. your opinion. Go ahead and look at it. Look at the information. It's questionable. You look at some of the things that go with Israel. Why are we always backing Israel? What do we benefit from it? Why is there such a backing when we send most of our aid to them? They don't send much of anything to us. They do a lot of things. They get away with it.
Nothing other than the
They're
spies.
they're privileged, in a lot of ways in that way. Why is it a one-way privilege system? Why do all of our, politicians bow down to what they want? Why are they fighting for a foreign government over their own government and their own citizens?
APAC.
There's a lot of questions there. I mean, come on, APAC's not that powerful. They take the money that we send them, they take a portion of it and send it back to our politicians. It's not that powerful. Then you got to ask, why are these politicians that get into office who get a $150, $179, $1,000 a year salary, multimillionaires within a couple of years when they're in office? There's a problem there.
We have
Nancy
problems. Pelosi again.
No, most of them. There's a few that don't necessarily have that kind of wealth and stuff worth. But I'm just saying, there are breadcrumbs. What do you want to? Your interpretation of those breadcrumbs, your opinion on those is up to you. You can just say, but it's not like smoke and mirrors. There are some questionable things that you got to look at. Is all I'm saying. But I think the only way that they can kind of come out of this is go ahead and paint the picture. They got to change the thing. The neocon idea is dead and old. It doesn't work anymore. We want peace now. We want everyone to build. We want to focus on our AI because this is what we have to benefit in America. We want to change some of these rules so that we can be effective. This is our last stand, basically. China's too advanced. Middle East is too advanced. Middle East is playing the middleman between us and China. Get the best benefits of both.
Yeah,
they're in the best situation. China has the technology, the innovation, the scales of economy, production. Middle East has money.
Democracy.
Middle East is money's not just in oil anymore now. That was a shock to me. They actually have other things they're making equal amount or more. So they're quickly being able to replace their money in just the oil as well. They're going to get nuclear power. So that means they don't have to use a lot of their oil to, produce the energy for this data center that they're going to build. 500,000 chips that they're getting for their AI center.
Okay. Jake, what is your take about the distance we are seeing right now between U.S. and Israel and long-term impact in our Middle East policy?
Wow.
Come on. It's connected to what Eddie just mentioned.
I don't think there's any long-term distancing between us.
So you think this is temporary?
Between us and Israel?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's temporary. Like I said.
Do you agree that there should be a regime change, or America is pushing towards regime change of Israel?
With respect to Netanyahu?
Yeah.
I don't know. You caught me flat-footed on that question. What I would say is that I don't think we are going to have ever a full separation between the type of relationship we have with Israel, just like the relationship we have with the UK. It'll be there long past Trump. Right now, what we're seeing is a distancing because, like I said, Trump is not happy with Netanyahu's poor performance over there.
So it's not an establishment or the country relationship which we are seeing. It's in your opinion, is Trump individual relationship.
Right.
Okay. All right. Next part connected to that is which I wanted to see is the second country.
And one more thing. Let me so how long have we had this Israeli-Palestinian conflict going on?
Probably
80 years.
80 years, yeah.
How many administrations have that gone through? Many, many administrations. Have we ever broken with Israel? No.
That's why everybody's questioning why now.
No, there is no why now. We have a man baby as a president who wanted something in his first quarter, didn't get it, and so he's pissed at Netanyahu, and that's all it's ever going to be. And he'll be out of office, and then maybe some other administration come in that was more favorable, whether Netanyahu was there or not. And it'll be business as usual. This is not a long-term thing. That's my take on it. Okay. So that's my answer to you.
Okay, all right, okay. The next question is about the second country he stopped by, Qatar. All right. And why do you have a problem with our president getting a $440 million plane, which is already in Texas, does not need to fly. I know you're going to talk about emoluments.
I didn't know it was in
emoluments
Texas.
clause. Yeah, it's sitting in the Texas right now.
Oh.
Are you going to talk about the boo-hoo emoluments clause? Why is it a problem? Why?
Okay, so first, we have, and I am going to bring up the emoluments clause because it's there for a very good reason.
Yeah,
you
so
don't,
tell me.
it's been there since the inception of our presidency. It's there so no one country can buy favor at the expense of the American people. Giving
It's a gift.
Yeah, you can't give a gift to a head of state unless Congress approves it. It has to be all up above board.
They're giving it to Department of Defense.
They're giving it to Trump. They're not giving it to the Department. I don't know where you heard that. Maybe I didn't hear that. So maybe you're. Oh,
It
you're
is.
kidding.
No, he's not.
He's giving it to where?
It is
Department
going
of
to the
Defense.
Department of Defense.
Okay. So if this is going to the Department of Defense as the next, is it as under the auspices of the next Air Force One? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. So
For
what?
temporary use.
Okay. So what did Trump do in his first administration? Do you guys know? With respect to Air Force One,
He ordered a couple of them.
he
to be
ordered
made.
2 of them, and what did we pay? $3.8 billion. Now, at the time that he did that, Boeing said to him, okay, no problem, but because of the technology that goes into this with the defense systems and everything else that a normal 747 doesn't have, a normal 7 has a couple dozen video screens, some seats, a shitter, and controls. That's not what that's not what Air Force One has. Air
It
Force
has
One
more
has-
shitters.
It has more shitters. It has actually armament. It has everything that the White House has. So it takes a lot of time.
It's a flying
Yes.
White House.
And they said to Trump, okay, you want it? We're going to give you 2 staggered, but the first one you're not going to get until the beginning of 2027. Okay? And that still stands. Now, Trump is sitting here thinking, I'm not going to get my shiny objects for the last year of my administration. And you know how schedules are. I may not even get it then. I want something new now.
Okay.
So now they're.
So why is it a bad thing?
No, it's a bad thing because we're accepting something from a foreign government. We have 2 already
As a gift.
As a gift. We have 2 in production right now by an American company, Boeing. We've already paid for them. One is going to be there, and he says that the reason he wants this is because right now the Air Force One right now is kind of outdated and it doesn't look really great. Well, that's all BS, okay? And even if you took a hold of the 747 that's sitting in Texas, I didn't know, how long is that going to take you to put all the armament and everything that it needs to be Air Force One?
3 years.
Yeah, you're going to be at the end of your administration anyways. So what are we talking about here? What is all this all about? Facade. Okay, so and Trump has learned, as we all have learned in this country, it doesn't matter, good publicity or bad publicity, nothing, it's all good for you. And so if we're talking about Trump and we want to, and if he wants to talk about his wealth and promote his status and how wealthy he is and everything, let's talk about a $400 million plane that he's going to get and throw it out there for people to kick around. It's $400 million. Trump wants it. He's going to get it. Doesn't that increase his status? Because Trump, $400 million, Trump, $400 million. All this is just all BS. Now, I could see at the end of it that maybe he said that it's being given just like the Reagan plane. We're going to give it to the Smithsonian at the end, and they're going to put it like the Reagan Air Force One is over there. Do I think that's going to happen?
No, he's going to fly around.
No, he's going to keep it.
Yeah.
And then also, if it's given to him and somehow he's able to maneuver it, guess what he doesn't do? He doesn't pay taxes on it. So there's other things going on. Will it be ready for can he ever fly during his administration to go places? Probably not. So all this is BS. You know what I mean?
All right, Eddie, same question, but adding on to that is, first of all, do you have a problem with him getting a plane as a gift? Second thing is, it has to be fitted with the specification of an Air Force One.
I forgot one more thing.
Yeah.
What is it saying to the prominence of America when our Air Force One, our number one vehicle that transport our president around, is given by a foreign country, a Middle Eastern country?
That we have really good relationship with Qatar.
I don't know if that opinion is shared with all the other people in this country.
Why?
I would think on an optics level that doesn't really quite fit.
The Qataris are really good people.
Okay.
See?
I don't know how many how many normal American people benefit from Qatar on a daily basis.
Zero.
Okay.
That's
put
not
it that
true.
way.
That's not true, actually.
Okay, all right. Same question.
In a tangible way, I'll put it,
it's
or a
gonna be-
known way.
At least 10,000 benefit from Qatar.
Yeah,
on
oh
a
yeah, the
daily
biggest
basis.
base. The biggest base.
Out of 350 million. Oh, that's fantastic.
That's at least 10,000. Those are the actual soldiers that participate on the biggest base in the Middle
That's
East
true.
Okay.
that protects the Middle
That's
East
very
and
true.
everyone else that's in the
I'm
Middle
talking.
East.
Well, that's
But,
not my
you
question.
know,
You heard
But
me.
Americans don't know
on.
this.
But hold on. Qatar doesn't pay for that. We pay for it.
Exactly, but they are there and they get treated with a lot of privileges in the Qatar area. When I was in Iraq, where did we go when we were getting R&R?
I don't know what you're talking about.
How is it? How was it?
I didn't get to go. The helicopter I was supposed to got shot down. So
I just said how many average American people benefit from Qatar on a daily basis.
You don't consider a soldier an average person?
It is an average.
He is American, right? He is a soldier.
Well, where is he? You're talking about on some military base in
Did
Qatar.
he choose to go to Qatar? He was deployed there.
Oh boy. All right, let's move on.
A soldier is an average
you
person.
have to include everybody.
Okay, so
I said
and
a
then even
minimum.
on a
Now-
proportionate amount.
now-
10,350 million.
Okay, come on.
I'm not sure what argument you're
Why-
trying to make
why-
again.
Why?
At least more than
let
one.
Let me define it just a little bit for you then. Okay. How about all the equipment there? It was produced in America and shipped there, right? So
Yes.
somebody had to make that equipment in America. Did they not benefit from making that equipment that was shipped there? The ammunition, everything
How
else?
does that answer the question of an average American person? How?
Because the people that made all that equipment and shipped it there have a job
All right.
because it's shipped there, right? It may not be you that benefited directly from that, but
Or you.
No,
Or him?
I did benefit.
So now
because I've
let's
been
take
to Qatar.
let's take a small sample size. How many does anything that goes on in Qatar affect the three people in this room?
I've been there.
Zero.
Oh, and now I'm zero. Okay.
No, he did.
I
Oh,
just
you're still a soldier based in.
I have been
in
to Qatar. It was an
But are you
R&R
currently
place.
a soldier in Qatar right now?
No,
Okay,
but
so
I
let me
have
ask the question
benefited.
again. How does anything that goes on in Qatar affect the three people in this room?
In
This is a
present
small
time.
population
In
at the present
present
time.
time. In present time.
Zero.
How's it-
We can expand that to how many people in this household, and it would be more than three people. I don't know how to say that's zero. Let's say how many people in the block of this on this one block here, maybe two. So on a proportional basis, what goes on in Qatar affects almost nobody on this continent here.
Okay,
in the
okay,
U.S.
okay.
That's all I'm trying to say.
Under the same principle that you just gave, the same thing happens with Israel.
I don't know what you're talking about. I
See,
don't understand the
obviously.
question.
No, that it has relevance what he's saying.
I'm not saying it doesn't have relevance. I just don't understand the question.
Okay, I'll come back to that. But
Okay,
okay,
anyways.
let's go back to the main point. A royal Qatari family.
Do I agree with the plane being given though? Do I think it's an
Why?
actual thing? Why? Because yeah, I can give you the concept of I get this for free. How great am I? Kind of idea.
It's
that-
going to Defense Department.
and it's free, right? So why not? But the whole thing is you should have an independent government. Why do you need to get a free thing from somebody else? It is a gift. It is against what our rules are. We have to be rule based. If we have a rule, we need to follow it. It's just an ethical thing. Okay. Now I understand why I have to pay for something when I can get it for free.
They're
But
also
the same
pay-
price, the same thing.
They're
Come
also
on.
giving us 1.2 million.
They're not giving
trillion.
us what they're investing. That's a different
trillion.
thing.
Yeah, but what does it have to do with the emoluments cost? We have a law.
Yeah, I agree with the fact that
It doesn't matter how
they're-
much they give us. We have a law.
Unless you change laws, you follow laws. Period.
But it's a
if-
better looking plane.
Who cares? Who cares?
We need
This
our
is a
president
dangerous subject, a path. You know, yeah, I
It's
understand.
a
that-
dangerous precedent.
Yeah, precedent is a good word,
Thank you.
a better word. All right.
Even though you don't agree with me most of the time.
No, it's not about we have different opinions.
And the
it's
two of you
fine.
guys are chopping me down this whole podcast.
Whatever, bro.
No, it's your
Whatever.
coffee. Less of coffee.
Okay, victim. Okay, victim.
Oh, yeah, victim.
I am a victim at this podcast today. You know what it may be? I'm thinking maybe it's because we're back. This is the first day back. And everybody's just pissed off.
Whatever. Anyway,
I'm pissed off. I'll admit it.
I agree that we need to have an ethical precedent of following the rules that we
Which we don't have.
applied. And any stray from that, we need to be careful about because it could lead to even worse things. You know, if we don't follow this rule, why do we have to follow this rule? Why do we have to follow that rule? It could lead to really bad things. So, I agree with that.
Like being the clearinghouse for a meme coin. Is that bad?
Oh, okay.
yeah, all that stuff is not. I don't think anyone has any question about that. Okay,
Whether it's good or bad.
They already know. They have their.
Is it bad? Do you think it's
opinions
bad?
on it. For me personally,
Yeah.
yes, I think it's bad.
So do I. That's the first thing we've agreed on today.
Not necessarily.
no,
That's the
there
first
are
thing
more.
that you perceived us agreeing on today. All right.
Yeah, that's actually
And I
true.
just agreed with the same thing with the plane. So that's your perception of this is that you're the victim and that I don't agree with you in anything.
Today, I
That's
will
not
agree with you.
exactly-
I'm coming from a victim perspective.
Are
I
you
don't
gonna
know
go?
why.
Are you gonna start taking this land?
I think it's because how you have me on camera. I look like a fucking vampire. He looks like he's in Miami Vice with Han.
Are you-
I look like the guy from Twilight, whatever that guy's name.
Are you gonna claim this room as yours because you're a
Hey.
victim?
Oh, how is being a vampire a victim? You get to live longer than I do. And
I
you're
wish.
almost
if,
dead like that.
if I had
Die.
that benefit, I'd say, okay, I don't mind looking like this, but I'm not going to live forever.
So when are you claiming this podcast area as yours?
What do you mean?
Because you're a victim.
Yeah, you need what is it called? Reparations.
And so, and the people can't see that you've changed around this room quite a bit. It's very different from how it was, and it actually it's a better layout, I think.
Yeah,
But that's not
it's
important.
easier.
Nobody cares.
So what were we asking again before he kept on interrupting?
Basically,
See, and that's a
why-
strategy. I interrupt you so you don't say things I don't like.
Okay.
Why? Jake has mentioned that this is all facade. This is all
It is.
BS.
I agree with that.
But at the end of the day, he want to use that plane. Okay. Bottom line is he wants that plane for his own use. He has to make it.
You know how he's going to use it? You know how he's going to use it?
How?
Oh, he can't. I'm thinking he's going to take it down to Mar-a-Lago.
He
But
cannot.
but even if he goes to Mar-a-Lago, he's still got to fly Air Force One, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no,
The
forget that.
catch-22 situation is
This is
that
a-
if he receives something while he's the
It's
president,
status.
that's the problem. And his problem is once he's not a president, Qatar is not going to give him that plane. So we have a catch-22 situation.
Not necessarily.
So he wants to get it while he can get it.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Probably. That's
Get rid of his old one because it's like 30. It is an old one, like from 1992. The one he has
Yes.
right now.
the Air Force One or his.
No, his
No,
normal
his own
plane.
plane.
His own plane.
Okay, yeah.
Shit can that one. Get this one, but he wants it while he's during the presidency, so he can get it, and somehow he can wiggle out now paying taxes on it or doing
Yes,
something.
of
And then
course.
also, while he's president, if he owns it, doesn't the upkeep of it get paid by the taxpayer?
Yes.
So there's other things
Because
going on here.
he can use it
Yeah.
while and the problem
To fly his family around, maybe.
the problem is that he knows that he's not going to get it once he's out of the presidency.
Right. So I think there's a lot of little things going on. He's considering that
So why,
most of us don't even know about.
So why can't we just let him have it?
Because
What's
it's
the
an
problem?
emoluments clause. What do you keep asking the same question for?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
mean,
see it as a problem.
Yeah, if they had done it in a different direction, maybe they could have got around this. But yeah, I think that the fact that he's the president, we have laws against it. That's probably not going to happen. But again, this is like testing the opinion of people. It's how far can I get away with something? This is a child behavior. to see
Department
what
of
you can get-
Justice has said is there's no problem.
Of course, if they can push that, if he see Trump has the most power of any president I've seen in my life.
Oh yeah,
to be able to do stuff that nobody else could do.
Dictatorial level.
Well, I mean, if you see in everywhere in the world that the nationalism works better than a democracy works as far as getting things done, you can't understand why that they're putting this Project 25 kind of idea forward. We got like 52% of it done.
Yep.
This Christian nationalist project. Let's be a nationalist country again, and let's get
Nobody
shit done.
believed it, but it. I mean,
Yeah, well, I didn't believe it so much either at the beginning, but now 52% done, and it's not so hard to get the rest of it done. It might be possible. You might have to consider it now, at least if you didn't do it before.
is it going to stick by? That's the problem. A lot of their policies has to continue in order for it to continue.
Well,
with
with a
their-
nationalistic system, you change a lot of things, and
That's the
if
thing.
you see the testing of the waters with like Elon Musk, and if say, oh well, if we find that congressmen are corrupt, shouldn't we prosecute them? That's a good way of getting rid of the people that don't agree with your system.
Okay, all right.
You mean like sweeping them off the street and shipping them off to
El
El
Salvador?
Salvador? Something like that?
Or just
Yeah.
disappearing completely. I don't know. Maybe
Or
just
getting rid of-
maybe just publicly in the jail so you can
Yeah,
make
yeah.
a sample of them.
You don't like them? Arrest them.
Okay, last topic before we end this, and keep it
It better not be that
Keep it-
GOP topic,
keep
man.
I don't know what's going on.
keep it very
Because
keep it-
nobody's ready for
keep
that
it-
one.
keep it very simple. This is the president who has done most of his work through executive orders. All right, of the
Yeah.
highest number. I want to know, as a traditional Republican, voter, what is your take on it? Do you see that there's a new precedent set by this? And I'll come to you after that.
You can't ask me that
No, I have to.
because you have to change it to Democratic voter. I am not a Republican voter,
Okay, I will change it to that.
and then I won't have an
Okay.
answer.
All right.
But I have not always voted just one party, so
But,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
but
I
that's what
haven't-
I'm. That's
But
yeah.
yeah, majority of things.
How
I
do you
voted
see
against.
that as a new precedence now? You know,
It's not a new precedence for one. It has been an ongoing thing. It's just gotten expanded with each presidency. It gets more and more to see how much they can get away with and how much they can exercise their power. And Trump, to correctly phrase what you asked, how is the expansion, the dramatic expansion
Yeah.
of Trump's executive orders been pushed? And I think this is what Jake had brought up before with the Steve Bannon idea, was to see what you can
The
get away
Bannon
with.
cannon.
You know, flood the zone, see what you can get away with, you know, push all the limits, see how you can restructure. Because with the way the system is, it's very difficult to restructure it into a nationalistic system. So you have to go ahead and try to do some of these things. Plus, it's also, you know, with the flooding the zone, you can get certain things done, you know, that you wouldn't be able to get otherwise because people can, you know, adapt to that situation and try to fight it. With so much going on and so much distraction, just like while we were in the Middle East, they were trying to push through that big deal, big, beautiful bill, you
Yeah.
know, thing with 1,000 pages, which I went through, which there's a lot of stuff in there that people are going to like or dislike. A lot of sailing land, a lot of
if
things.
it passes.
It was close. It
Yeah.
was close, but it didn't. It was a few votes off from passing.
No, but senators are kind of talking against it because they are worried about the Medicaid or Medicare changes.
Honestly, the Medicaid thing wasn't that bad from what you can read in there. I don't know the actual implementation, you know, because a lot of that stuff is like they are very crafty in the way they do some of those things in the bill.
Yes.
Because they will
Yes.
change words
Yeah.
without giving you the context.
Exactly. That's the and they know each other.
And they refer it to the other bill.
Yes.
So they will refer, this is in paragraph this,
Yes.
that, and that bill.
That was
So
a
you don't
smart-
get to see that
it's a
bill.
it's a smart way.
Yeah, you don't get
Yeah.
to see what that's actually changing. You just see the words. Oh, it's just changing this.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a smart approach in that.
So
But
so what do you think about the executive order way of running the country? Because this time it's extremely high number of executive orders.
more so than that, the question is why is like the opposing party not doing anything? Why is it so much different? Anytime you would see anybody trying to do any kind of agenda, there was always an opposition. There seems to be no opposition this time around, so it's not so much that we're playing. So the one thing I would say in this system is like this: if I put two people in a system and I have one person look at these two people, I blame one person blames this person for that, the other person blames this person for that. You know, you're kind of like, okay, I'm not sure who's to blame here in this situation. But if I have one person that's the only person that can be possibly wrong for this situation, I know exactly who's wrong. You did it, you're wrong. But if I have two, I can make you question who did it. The American system is set up in two for a reason. They tell you it's because it's balance of power. But in the case is, who do you blame if there's two people doing it and one saying he did it, the other one saying he did it, and you're not sure? You decide with who you think is the best option, but that's not necessarily the thing. When you look at the track record, they're both doing the same dang thing. They're just blaming each other for the things that you don't like, and then you pick the side that you like that does less things that you don't like than the other side.
So basically, you're saying that. I mean, what I'm understanding is it's not a new thing. It's a
Not
new process, and both sides are going to push the envelope.
I just think that right now that they're letting him push this to see what they can get away with on both sides. They only attack a few little things here and there to still give the semblance that they have opposition. There's an opposition, but there don't seem to be much of an opposition. And the opposition is pretty weak at this point because they're not able to stop much of anything he's doing. There are some things in the Supreme Court that have been slowed down, but most things that he was able to do, he shouldn't have been able to do in this pace.
Who's going to stop him?
Hold on. Okay. I'm going to come to you, Jake. From the Democratic point of view, he's pushing the envelope to use executive power to do a lot of majority of this stuff.
Mm.
How does a Democratic voter sees this? And also, if in near future or whatever time Democratic president comes in, what do you think this expansion of new direction or usage of executive powers will be used?
Okay, well, first thing, just a little bit of trivia.
Mhm.
Trump is not the record holder for executive orders. Roosevelt did 3,700 executive orders in his 12 years. So
In his
that's
12 years.
Okay, now so that's, if you do the math, 3,700 divided by 12 is 300. Now, during Trump's first administration, he did 230 for the entire 4 years.
Yeah.
He's at like what, 125 now? Well, I don't know where he's at, right? He's over 100.
I don't even know
I
either.
can check.
80, anywhere from 80 to 125. He's somewhere in that range. I don't remember.
I can check right now.
Okay, so while he's checking, so unless he pumps out another 200 in his first year of his second term, he's not going to be. Now, we have to remember Roosevelt, that was wartime, but he's not the record holder.
143.
Okay, he's at 143. So he may hit over 300 this year, which would beat Roosevelt for his 300 a year.
Yeah, but Roosevelt was the war president.
Yes, I
It was
understand
like
that.
war
I'm just
stuff.
pointing out that
There's no war.
I know, but there was
a
people
crisis.
have used, other presidents have used the executive order.
There's an invasion going on.
Right.
There's a crisis.
Yeah.
So
Multiple crises.
Multiple crises
Right.
created by yourself.
well, if you
Solved by
hold on
yourself.
now, hold on. If you talk to Darth Doge, there is a crisis, and it's the fraudulent spending of U.S. taxpayer, and so he's got to get rid of federal employees.
Somehow
he's got to get rid of U.S. aid.
Somehow he's only
But
attacking-
the one thing that we spend the most on, he's not touching, is defense spending.
No, because he has contract with them.
Of course.
Why
So
would he do
if
that?
you want to really make a dent in the budget and find where all this money is going,
you're a
whatever
bad-
you do, don't look at defense
you're
spending.
you're a
Go
bad-
fire some people in the federal government because that's where the money
You're-
is.
you're the bad-
Wonderful.
You're the bad businessman. Why would you attack your own money if you?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. So the question was his use of the executive order. I think his use of the executive order, it's not unprecedented, and I think. And honestly, I wasn't expecting this question, so I haven't done a whole lot of research on it.
That's okay.
I don't think it's unprecedented. I think it's a tool that has been given to constitutionally to our commander-in-chief to affect change, and so
No, but how do you see it as a future for a democratic point of view?
I don't think the next president comes in and is going to say, Trump used this 380 times in his first year. I need to use this 500 times.
Why not? Why not?
Because I don't think it's necessary. I don't think they look at executive orders. I think the executive order is used to affect change that a president thinks needs to be changed. Okay, so the next president we have coming in here, maybe he doesn't find an issue with the amount of federal employees. So doesn't need to do anything. Maybe as he's coming in, he's thinking, and he's a first-time president. He's a brand new president. He's not a second one. An old one coming in on non-consecutively. He's brand new to the presidency, and he doesn't know what's going on. He's just getting his feet wet, so he doesn't need to use them. And I think that's a part of what's going on. Like Roosevelt, he was there for 4 terms, so you think he's going to use those. I don't know how many he used his first term. Maybe he only did it 80 times. But the next term he goes, you know what? I learned from my first term. I can use these things to get this done, that done, and that done right in my first quarter of my second term. Now the third quarter, so he's using them because he's gained experience and he knows these are effective. Well, it makes a lot of sense that Trump is using them a lot more because he didn't know any better his first term, right? He only used 220. So what I'm saying, any first term president that's coming in, I don't think he's going to really use them much because he doesn't know their effectiveness. So if you ask me a question, I don't think these things, this is setting a precedent that's just going to, a Democratic president is going to say, well, he used it this many times. I'm going to use it 500 times the first year. And then a Republican comes in and he uses it 1,000 times. I don't think it really works that way.
Well, the difference also, too, is if you see that big bill that they're talking about, a lot of those things that he did put in executive orders, they have implemented into changing laws within that bill. So if that bill passes, a lot of what he put in will change.
But you have to remember, just because he's changing law with executive orders doesn't mean next president.
No, I'm saying it's going to be finite in that bill. They took
Oh,
some
I
of the
see.
things that he put in executive orders and put it in that bill.
Yeah, like they refer to executive EO number 1,000 whatever in this bill, it becomes a law.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing that sneakily if you get a chance to read. Anyways, we're at the end. I hope you guys both enjoyed. I hope it was a nice comeback. We had a good conversation, and if viewers, you guys like this episode, please subscribe and click the bell icon and please comment. Thank you very much. Thank you guys.
Thank you.